So an unforgettable moment on the campaign trail for one voter who got a big hug from Trump at an Atlanta Chick-fil-A while he met with supporters. Watch.
I don't care what the media tells you, Mr. Trump. We support you.
We love you.
Okay, 4 p.m. We've been 4 p.m.
Come here, let me give you a hug.
Please
Look at the joy. Here to tell us about it is that young woman herself, Michaelah Montgomery. She's also the founder of a grassroots political group to Conserve the Culture. Michaelah, I've been waiting for this interview all morning.
I've been waiting for this my whole life.
She just said, I've been waiting for this my whole life. Wow. Just wow. Do you realize that Michaelah Montgomery just did something that completely shocked the liberal media? Do you realize that her hugging Donald Trump probably caused Poo-Poo Diaper Joe to soil his Depends? And as you might expect, almost immediately after that hug went viral, the media attacked. And you may be asking yourself why. Well, that's an easy answer. She went public with a display of her chains being broken. She single-handedly put on display the destruction of the plantation narrative. How dare this black woman hug up on Donald Trump? How dare those other Chick-fil-A staff members smile and play nice with the orange man? The evil orange man was in Chick-fil-A and you actually played nice with him. And then, of course, immediately, she's a plant. It was staged. It's not real. It's AstroTurf. They immediately had to go into attack mode. They have no choice. It's obvious why they have to do so. As I've said on the record in many of my videos, but I'll say it again in case you didn't hear it. There is no mathematical way that Biden can beat Donald Trump in a fair election. It's mid-April, and I'm calling it right now. If it's a fair election, it's over. It's over. Book it. All Michaelah Montgomery did was just give a punctuation, an exclamation mark to the fact that Donald Trump cannot be beat in November if it's a fair election. And the funniest thing about all of this is they all know it. All they can do right now is to try and stop more defection. But right now, absent something crazy happening, like bird flu, where they all lock us down again, Donald Trump is going to win the election in November. Keep watching. I've shown you proof before, but in a few minutes, I'm gonna show you even more proof. But first, let's get back to Michaelah and what she said.
So thanks so much for joining us. So you told the president when you were hugging him, I don't care what the media says, we support you. Tell me what you meant by that.
Well, first and foremost, she is saying what many of us feel, me, myself as well. I don't care what the media says anymore. At this point, they've been completely exposed as being nothing more than MK Ultra agents.
I am so glad that is the first question you asked me. So, of course, in the excitement of everything, I wasn't able to really relay my message, but the general consensus or social media would have you thinking that if President Trump were to show up to the HBCU campuses or walk around the AUC community, that like some angry mob would form or a riot would ensue and that he would not be welcome. And clearly the sentiment in that room the other day was the complete opposite. He was very welcome. People were excited to see him. People showed up in support of him. And people, of course, were from all four institutions within the AUC. The local HBCU community in Atlanta, and they all showed up in support of him. So it's
of course they did. Of course people want to be a part of what Donald Trump is all about. They make you feel like he's ostracized and nobody wants him around. That's what they try to promulgate. That's what they try to create, the perception that Donald Trump is persona non grata. That's because everything they try to do is shut people down. They try to not let it happen. You can't talk about Donald Trump on Twitter. You can't talk about Donald Trump here. You can't talk about Donald Trump there. We're not even going to allow some sort of event on campus. That's what they do because they know the reality of the situation.
It's kind of crazy to see people in an uproar when all four institutions were legitimately represented and all four institutions were represented by said students who wanted to support President Trump.
You know, Michaelah,
appreciate that we were able to not only let him know that regardless of what social media says, you know, I know they're trying to make us think we're supposed to hate you, but we don't.
Here's a little bit of knowledge for you in case you're not understanding about social media. It's fake. It's not real. I mean, just so you know, if you haven't been on Twitter, there are so many bots, so many paid people, I've been on Twitter since it began. It is not representative of real life.
And additionally, it was a learning experience for my students because they were able to see and experience firsthand how the media can warp the perception of an opinion or a person.
Exactly. So they walk into Chick-fil-A and he goes in there and people are like, oh, this guy's actually a real human. He doesn't have winged ears or something. He's not crazy. He might be a little bit orange, but hey, that's okay. But he actually can relate to me. He's talking to me. Hey, what kind of white supremacist do you actually know that would hug up on a black woman? I mean, they're in Atlanta, Fulton County, Georgia, you know, where Fanny hangs out. Tell me when you've seen, like, you know, Klan members just go up and hug up on a black person, because those type of people would never do that. They would actually, you know, give you the Heisman there and say, hey, just stay away. Donald Trump's like, hey, give me a big hug. And he talks to the other ladies and the other men in attendance, which probably caused a lot of them to go, wait a second, I thought you said he was a racist. I thought you said we should stay away from him. And he's, you know, shaking my hand. He's hugging me. Forget the milkshakes and the sandwiches. That's just part of Donald Trump. The part that they weren't prepared for is that this guy's an actual guy. Because,
like I said, to think that these students who attend these illustrious institutions aren't smart enough to make their own decisions.
That's it. That's it. To think that grown-ass adults, college kids and adults like myself, aren't smart enough to make our own decisions. That's why these people have to say the things that they have to say. They have to try and keep the hypnosis going. You're not allowed to think for yourself, because as soon as you begin thinking for yourself, you now understand you've been held on a plantation and lied to by some people that you actually trust.
So much so that they would only show support for Trump because he bought chicken sandwiches and milkshakes.
It's offensive.
That in itself is the most disturbing part of it all, especially when you think about the fact
they actually said that, by the way, on other channels, that, you know, the only reason they paid attention to him is because he handed out some milk bones, milkshakes and chicken sandwiches. Otherwise, nobody would have paid attention to him. That is extremely insulting.
That it was mainly urban media outlets that were doing everything in their power to turn other black people against these young black kids who simply were not shy to explore other options.
That is the modus operandi. Attack, attack, attack. Instead of maybe asking these kids, hey, listen, why did you want to meet Donald Trump? You know, what did you see in Donald Trump that's, you know, was different than what you thought? How is reality different than perception? But they don't want people to hear those answers. They never want you to hear the truth.
It's so incredible, and I think you hit it on the head. By the way, the former president, gave a lot of funding to HBCUs. One of the highlights of my childhood was my HBCU tour to figure out what college I wanted to go to. But tell me about the former president and his policies. What is it about him that is gravitating these young people toward the president? And a lot of people, traditionally, Republicans don't do well in Black America. But a lot of young Black Americans like the former president. What is it about him?
Now, love that question. Instead of attacking Michaelah, that's something that MSNBC should ask. That is something that CNN should ask. Why don't they? Why do they attack? Why not ask somebody like myself, somebody like Michaelah here? Say, listen, what is it that you personally feel is something that makes Donald Trump attractive to you? Why would you never ask that question, but you just want to attack? Makes you think, doesn't it? Why wouldn't you want someone's answer? So let's listen to what Michaelah has to say.
I think, and this is a sentiment I get a lot coming from the young people themselves, is that they feel like he's honest. They feel like this is somebody who, while we might not agree with how he says things, how he goes about things, at least he's telling us what it is.
Yeah, so he might give out some mean tweets. He might call some people some names that people don't like or uncomfortable with, but he's letting you know how he feels. I know it may be abrasive to some people because there's people out there who will tell you how they feel if you ask them a question. Well, Donald Trump doesn't have a filter. He's never had a filter. He tells you what he thinks. If you don't like what he thinks or how he says it, that's one thing. But if you have a problem with how he wants to enact policy, you really have to think why.
Don't feel like this is a snake in the grass waiting for his chance to bite us. This is somebody who's telling us, this is what my plan is. Here's how I plan to execute it. Here's the people involved. And here's how you can get involved. So they just feel like he's more relatable. And I don't say that to say that, like, they all relate to him. But again, he gives you that relatable feeling to where it's like, hey, I'm just like you. You know me. This is what you said you wanted. Here's what I'm going to try to do about it.
So you have to wonder, when people talk about the black community and Donald Trump, you have the attack dogs over here on the liberal media, and they never, ever have that kind of conversation like you're hearing right now. Tell us what you like. Tell us what you want. What makes you tick? What makes you want, your life? What will improve your life? You never hear that from the other side because they feel they know what you need. They don't want you to tell them what you want. They're going to tell you what you need. That's the big difference. I don't need to be told what's good for me. I can take care of that. I want to get behind somebody who can help me do the things I want to do, help me do the type of business I want to run, help me with my family in terms of where we want to go. Basically, get out of my way. I'm not going to look to break the law. Just get out of my way. I'll take care of everything else. I don't need you to basically hold my hand, which is what they've tried to do in the black community for decades.
Really feel like this is somebody who's talking to them and not just saying what they want to hear.
Such a good point. Michaelah, what has Biden done for our community?
Okay, so now you'll hear in a second how some people on other networks say he's done so much. And they're going to talk about student loans, and they're going to talk about this, and they're going to talk about that, as if we're some sort of Martian community that we don't need the exact same thing that white people need. Exactly. I want to pay less for gas. I want to pay less for my groceries. I want to be able to pay my mortgage payment or my rent. We want the same thing. I don't need the government. I don't know Joe Biden or anybody else telling me what they think I need. I'll tell you what I need.
What has he done for Black America?
Well, he locked up a lot of people that look like me, and they're still sitting in jail waiting for, justice and appeal of some sort. So when it comes to what Joe Biden has done for Black America, if we look specifically at his record as a senator, it wasn't something that benefited us at all. If anything, one could argue that he dedicated his entire senatorial career to disrupting the way of life, for Black people. He didn't want Black kids going to the same school as his kids. He didn't want Black people walking on the sidewalk along with his mother and grandmother.
Now you're hearing why they don't put her on MSNBC. Now you've heard specifically why they never put people like her or people like me on CNN. Actually, I was on CNN once, but they didn't talk about politics.
So the fact that we ignore these things that were said on the Senate floor, like this is somebody who passed legislation with the sole intent of oppressing a certain community. And we're going to act like that didn't happen, or we're going to act like it can be overshadowed by somebody's comments a few years down the line that made us feel some type of way. Feeling some type of way is completely different when you can feel a certain type of way at home. There's people who are, as of right now, spending the rest of their lives in jail because, Joe Biden thought that they deserved it, as if there isn't retribution. And then you had somebody like Trump come in and give us the First Step Act to try and right the wrongs that were done with this 3 strikes rule. And nobody's talking about that.
Michaelah, I need more time with you. We got to go to
you can call me whenever.
We'll make it happen. We'll bring you back on, and we'll talk about the president's plan to win more Black voters. Michaelah, thank you so much. Thanks for being bold. We'll talk soon.
Thank you for having me. You guys have a great day.
Thank you for being bold. To me, that's a sad statement of affairs in regards to where we are politically in America. Being bold shouldn't be something that you have to do to speak out. You shouldn't feel like you're going against the grain because you're telling people what you believe, but they don't like that. As I said earlier, Michaelah Montgomery instantly became a target. They painted the bullseye on her right away. The libtard media couldn't possibly allow that hug to go viral and find its way to televisions on the plantation. No, 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 no. That had to be dealt with right away.
Let's talk about the Chicken Shack Trump moment.
I got to stop there for 1 second right here, because as you see in this piece, Joy Reid is such a scumbag that she won't even say the name of the company. She will not even utter Chick-fil-A. That's how much derangement these people have.
Trump, because you want to appeal to the blacks, you've already done sneakers. Now let's do chicken. Spelman and Morehouse Democrats put out a statement saying our goal is to simply reiterate our unequivocal beliefs about our beloved HBCUs. We do not support white supremacists. We do not support convicted predators. We do not support voter suppression. We do not support liars. We do not support fascism. Do not speak for us.
Who's us? Who's we? I mean, I see a long list of things there. We don't support this. We don't. Who's we? How does this group of people calling themselves the Spellhouse Democrats feel that they speak for everybody on these campuses? See, that's where the whole problem begins. They feel they are completely representative of everybody. That's what MSNBC and CNN try to do. Get you back on the plantation and understand. Make sure that you understand that we, the collective, don't like Donald Trump. We, all of us, inclusive, every single one of us, we don't like Donald Trump. But we all know that's not true. Now let's look at this list for 1 second here. When you look at this list, I don't support number 1. I don't support number 2. I don't support number 3. Number 4 is basically the definition of most politicians. And number 5, I definitely don't support fascism. What the hell are these kids talking about? Joy Reid, what are you talking about? None of those things do anybody really support, but you're trying to put all of that as if it's some sort of, declaration of that's who Donald Trump is. And we, all of us, we have this feeling when we just saw that we doesn't make any sense. So let's continue.
Tell you, as somebody who worked on campaigns, Secret Service has to go through that room. They're not just going to let anyone in there unless they're pre-screened. That lady said she was an intern for the Republican Party of Georgia. She used to work for Candace Owens' little firm, her little thing, Blexit. Right. She's a plant, so we know that. And everyone in that room was pre-screened to be in that room.
All right. I want to address that. I want to address that real quick. She's a plant. So what was the family that Joe Biden took the bucket of chicken to and pretended, like he was going to have dinner where he didn't even want to eat the chicken? He brought a hamburger and sat at that table with that black family. Was that black family not screened? Did the Secret Service not check out who, was at that table? Did they not go through the house and make sure there weren't any bombs or anything or anybody in the basement? The people watching these shows must be absolutely stupid. This is the president of the United States. This is a former president of the United States. When Hillary Clinton went on Charlemagne the God show and said, yeah, I got some hot sauce. Do you not think that was pretty much staged? Did you say anything about that? I'm just wondering. I ain't no ways tired. Remember that when Hillary said that? You think that when Hillary talked at that church that they didn't go through and look at every pew and make sure there was nothing taped underneath? Your audience are morons if they don't understand the logistics behind a presidential visit. But it figures.
It was not him walking into a chicken shack and people being like, Trump!
She said it again, chicken shack. She won't say Chick-fil-A.
Also, he stole a couple of Polynesian sauces before he left.
He did. And doesn't know what.
I don't know if you understood Mr. Fluffy in the pants here, but Mr. Fluffy just said that, Trump probably went in there and stole some Polynesian sauces. Is a national news network.
What to do with them?
And also, I'm surprised he didn't try to go on Sunday because he doesn't know when they're open.
Mr. Fluffy just said that Trump probably didn't even know that Chick-fil-A was, not open on Sundays. I think everybody knows that, you moron.
It's just, the idea that he's so desperate to show that the blacks love Trump. I had so many people. I don't go on Twitter anymore because it's too Nazi.
What?
I don't go on Twitter anymore because it's too Nazi. So you did that until Elon Musk bought it, and then you don't go on anymore because people can actually talk freely.
But there were people on there trying to get my attention by being like, oh, Joy Reid is going to hate to see Donald Trump hugging a black.
I'm on Twitter all day. How did you know people were trying to get your attention if you just said you never go on Twitter? Can we just call that a lie? Can we just say that Joy Reid's a complete asinine liar? Yeah, we can go ahead and say that.
Jesus going to be enraged.
Exactly like that.
Oh yeah, you know they were shaking like that when they said it.
It's just so, it's like fundamentally so upsetting to think that this is, man says all this racist stuff, he does all this racist stuff, and then he thinks
Mrs. Pink Hair and Mr. Fluffy just aren't fans of Donald Trump, and they expect everybody to feel the same way. He just talks so much racist stuff. Oh, I can't believe that they even let him into a Chick-fil-A. I can't even believe that some black woman would even want to hug this racist guy. It's awful. Excuse me, Miss Pronoun. Bite me.
Thinks he can go to a restaurant and.
Well, let's be clear. He thinks he can go to a chicken restaurant.
Fill
it with black people and go, see, they love me.
They love me. And
they love me almost as much as they love this chicken. That's what I wanted to say.
There is that meme that Republicans are so desperate to prove that the blacks love them now. That women love them. That everyone loves what they're doing.
Well, I think they should start by probably enacting policies that would actually help black people and women.
So Mr. Fluffy here says he wants that the Republicans should begin putting policies in place that will help the black community. How about just putting policies in place that help Americans? Like I said earlier, we all want cheaper gas. We all want cheaper food. We all want to pay less interest on our mortgage. We all would like cheaper rent. That's not a black-white issue. It doesn't have to be a black concern or a white concern. Just level the playing field. These people don't want that. Miss Purple Hair and Mr. Fluffy Hair with all their jokes, they are not representative of people, the core group of Americans.
And hear me out, black women. I don't even know.
And I do think that the Biden campaign is starting to feel a little bit more confident.
A few moments later.
What has Joe Biden done for black voters?
I would say nothing. I'm not voting for Joe Biden. You can put that on.
It is our intention to be behind him, but also hold him accountable.
So what has he done for the black community?
That's the end of my sentence, period.
Who will you?
That's the end of my sentence, period. Now, I just got to tell you, I had to stop it for a second here. I know this video is getting a little bit long. Sometimes I just have too much to say. But they're talking at Al Sharpton's DEI event. They're talking at the, what is he called? The National Action Network. They actually had an event for black people. They had an event to talk about the presidential election and how black people can be better served. And these people who are at this event, which included Joy Reid, by the way, are saying, yeah, we ain't getting nothing from it, man. We ain't nothing.
Be voting for
Independent.
Why are African-American voters flocking to Donald Trump?
They had it better when he was in office the first time.
He's helped.
They had it better when he was in office the first time. Duh. And again, just going to remind you, they're standing at Al Sharpton's event.
Bring them.
How?
Money-wise, economy-wise.
He believes in taking care of America first.
This isn't an
Uh-oh, but now here comes the reality.
isolated incident. A new Wall Street Journal poll shows Trump's numbers doubling with black voters since 2020. In swing states, Trump's at 30% with black men and 11% with black women. Now, if that holds, Democrats will never win another presidential election. Democrats need to get it together.
When you see numbers like that, what it means is that people are upset with what Democrats are doing or not doing.
Bingo. Remember, this is Al Sharpton's event. It's going to say it again. They are recognizing they are in deep poo-poo.
For them.
I believe the Democratic Party really needs to have a come-to-Jesus conversation with itself.
Part of where
Black Americans are starting to get really frustrated is because we've said over and over what we want to see. You have to back up the promises that you're making.
You have to back up the promises that you're making. Student loan bailouts, getting rid of children in the womb. I can't say the word. You know what I'm talking about. These are issues that, this many people actually speak of. I'll keep saying it. I'm going to ram it home. I love numbers. I love data. Rhetoric means absolutely nothing to me. In the last election, Poo-Poo Diaper Joe won by a sliver. Now let me tell you how bad things are for the Dems. So I got some numbers for you, and they're gonna blow you away. In 2016, Hillary Clinton got 92% of the black vote, and Donald Trump got 8%, and he won. In 2020, Biden got 88% of the black vote, and Trump got 12%. And as of today, as the way things are trending right now, Donald Trump is trending at 30+% of the black vote. Just understand, Donald Trump will never win the black vote. But you also have to understand that Donald Trump doesn't have to win the black vote. Trending up and currently at 30%, that is an unbeatable number for Donald Trump. Mathematically, Biden cannot win if Trump is garnering 30% of the black vote. And as you just saw at Al Sharpton's DEI event, they know it. Black people, just like white people, don't care about the accomplishments that everyone says Biden has had. In regards to the economy, having money in your pocket is racially agnostic. We all want the same thing. And not Joy Reid, not MSNBC, not CNN, not Al Sharpton. None of them can stop what's coming. If it's a fair election, if it's a fair fight with no shenanigans, it's over. Let me know what you think about the hug that basically destroyed the plantation narrative. Talk to you soon.